There are certain individuals who can't help but cheat on their partner while not feeling any guilt or remorse after doing so. This can occur in individuals who have features associated with the Dark Triad. The Dark Triad includes three socially malicious traits: narcissism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism. Narcissism is the tendency to focus on oneself, fantasize with power and glory, have a sense of entitlement, and the need for the admiration of other people. Machiavellianism is the tendency of holding a cynical attitude towards life and other people, as well as a likelihood to adopt strategies that benefit their own interests without considering their impact on others. Psychopathy is associated with a lack of empathy, being manipulative, being unreliable, and not caring about the feelings of others. These traits will influence various aspects of their life, including their romantic relationships. One study of young adults found that men were more likely to have these dark personality traits, which were also associated with unfaithful behavior. That is, higher levels of Dark Triad personality traits were associated with a higher likelihood of infidelity. They were also linked to a higher consumption of pornographic content. Two studies conducted with women found that Dark Triad traits predicted prior experiences of infidelity, intentions to be unfaithful, and perceived susceptibility to being cheated on, with narcissism and psychopathy being the traits with the bigger impact on these three variables. In the second study, traits associated with the Dark Triad also predicted an increased willingness to engage in behaviors to exact revenge after a partner's infidelity. This might be a reflection of impulsivity, anger, and overall disregard for consequences for those with traits of the Dark Triad. The two studies described drew a lot from previous research suggesting that Dark Triad traits were linked to greater personal experiences of infidelity and lower commitment to the relationship, as well as higher uses of deception, exploitation of trust, and increased interest in alternate partners. A study conducted with 884 participants found that all three Dark Triad traits were associated with being unfaithful in a current or most recent relationship. For women, psychopathy and Machiavellianism were unique predictors of infidelity. These women might believe that they're able to talk their way into remaining in a relationship and therefore perceived to have fewer consequences. For men, psychopathy was a moderate predictor of infidelity and led to a greater likelihood of the relationship coming to an end, emphasizing the destructive outcome of their cheating behaviors. Features associated with narcissism and Machiavellianism were small but still significant predictors of infidelity in men. A common core of these three traits has been linked to short-term sexual relationships. Being callous or having a complete disregard for another might be seen as a predictor of higher rates of sexual activity and infidelity. This can also be facilitated through manipulative and deceptive behaviors, like faking commitment or pretending to be different and more attractive than they really are. Individuals with higher Machiavellianism traits might see more opportunities for infidelity if they're trusted by their partners and apply a strategic approach to get away with cheating. They do this by being cunning and more willing to take the risk of being unfaithful for the thrill or benefits of an affair. Other factors linked to the Dark Triad include a willingness to break the rules and lie. Infidelity might also be linked to callousness or acting emotionally cold or uncaring to another, as it enables the person being unfaithful to engage in behaviors that are likely to hurt their partners, without feeling guilt or remorse. Overall, Dark Triad traits were linked to higher sexual preoccupation, with narcissism and psychopathy predicting higher sexual motivation and assertiveness. Those with these features might be willing to engage in sexual coercion, which was predicted by the series of personality traits more among men than women. However, narcissism among women was seen as a predictor of using sexual coercion. Additionally, narcissism and psychopathy, but not Machiavellianism, were associated with a higher number of sexual partners for men and women. Narcissism was positively linked to self-perceived attractiveness and value as a mate. This suggests that people with Dark Triad traits are more likely to have more sexual partners and view themselves as a more desirable partner, as well as engage in behaviors that can promote a higher number of sexual partners, albeit not always in a healthy way. Trust is built when someone is vulnerable and not taken advantage of. To learn more about the Dark Triad and why they can be so harmful in relationships, you'll want to check out this video here. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.